Hi, everybody!
Hey! Yay, we did it. I hope you can hear us.
First episode!
Yeah, figuring it out kind of as we go.
I think you're super crooked, and I'm going to fix the camera just a little bit. So, look cute. Perfect.
You're funny today. Look at it like this.
I like it. Okay, more zoomed in. More. All right. It's my hair. This is my hair looks. I needed to get enough of this. Okay.
Alright, yay!
Yay!
So welcome. We're super excited. This is our, our experimentation with podcasting is going live on YouTube because it just seems like the easiest way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something that I think I know Jill and I have wanted to do for a long time, and so Heather kind of came in and was like, let's do it. And we were like, okay.
And like you said, we're kind of throwing it together, seeing what it can be. And that's the magic of experimentation. Yeah. All right, so let's talk about who we are first.
Okay, sure. So I'm Alex. I am one of the co-owners of Ritual Space. We are a hybrid yoga and co-working community that is kind of built around entrepreneurialism, wellness, spirituality, creativity, connection, community building, that kind of thing. So just kind of like a little.
And I'm a fan. That's me. I'm Heather. I do work out of this space. I did fall in love with this space as soon as you opened it. I was very much like, wow, this is absolutely magical. I mean, I just saw, I think I knew Jill, the co-owner, through social media, knew that she was awesome, saw her post just a little bit of the magic of this place and was like, yeah, I gotta check that out. And I was able to start working and start hosting classes and meeting the people. And I think the entire experience for me has been only positive, I have to say. And this has been around for like 2
years almost.
Yeah.
I mean, the studio's been around for 2 years now. And then we got the lease for this space. It was July of 2 years ago. So yeah. And it's funny that you mentioned like that you like knew Jill through social media, because that's totally how we connected too. Like
That's wild.
knew her. I had met her a couple times. We followed her on social media. I saw her talking about stuff that like I wanted to be talking about and that I sometimes did talk about, and just was like, oh my gosh, I need to like connect with this person. And at the time I was planning to start a podcast. And so the first time we like really connected about this kind of stuff was because I was like, will you be on my podcast that I'm supposedly going to start? And so we did. And then it was like a couple times that we connected after that. And then,
well, you were also a mover and shaker too, because you had already been starting with the Southwest Florida Wellness Fair. Yes.
Yeah.
And that got major attention, like from the beginning, which was it, how long ago was that when you first started doing Southwest?
Yeah, I think the first one was in March of 2022, and I think it was just the right time. Like I kind of like struck while the iron was hot sort of thing. Like wellness was really starting to become so much more of a like thing for people because of the pandemic, and people just want, and I think like needing to come back together in community too. And that was
quarantine.
Yeah. So that was kind of the idea. It's like, okay, we're focusing on wellness. We're coming back together in community in the name of wellness, and like exploring wellness together outside in a place that like feels safe, because a lot of people back then still were like really not comfortable reintegrating. And it just, it was really cool, and people really liked it. And they always say they want me to keep doing it. So
because it's a wellness fair where you get people who have like-minded. Why don't you describe it? Because I know that you're going to do better than me.
Okay. Yeah, I'll do my best.
Here's what I'll say. I definitely was like, oh, she's got it going on. Like, she knows what she's doing. She is like professional. She is got a vibe going, and it is all like pure magic, but like in like a very professional way, very polished way. Is how I saw it before, like knowing, I mean, I still think that, but I just know a lot more about what goes into it now.
Thanks. Yeah, it was definitely I worked really hard on building a brand around what I wanted to create. Like I my first year, I put so much effort into it. I hired a brand photographer to help me create the brand and create the vibe that I wanted to create, to help me like put it into words. And then like she helped me put it into colors. And then I worked with a web designer too, who helped me put it into colors and like visuals and all that. Cause I'm not necessarily great at that, but I had some cool creatives helping me with that aspect of it. But yeah, basically the intention was creating community around wellness, bringing people together to connect with others who were interested in wellness in the same way that I was interested in wellness. And I think like prior to the pandemic, I had a wellness community through yoga, and that kind of all fizzled and fell apart after the pandemic here in this area, especially like the yoga communities just didn't come back. And so I felt myself craving community, and I wanted it to be like on wellness is like a broader topic, not just yoga, because for me, my personal like journey has been like with wellness has been multifaceted. It's been lots of different aspects. It's been, yoga, mental health, counseling. It's been food and exercise. It's been spirituality and like Reiki and just like all kinds of different things. And then finding like holistic health practitioners in addition to working with like regular health practitioners. So I just wanted to create something that had a little bit of everything for people to be able to explore so that they could kind of add to their own personal recipe for well-being.
Yeah. So I see how like what this became, Ritual Space, and that it's a co-working spiritual community that has so many different facets, including yoga, but so much more, all kind of had that start with that idea that you implemented with the Southwest Florida Wellness Fair, getting so many people on board with that, it being the right time, moving into this space, joining up with Jill, who is magical and is a part of this podcast and will definitely be here for future episodes. And then for me, I think it's really hard for anybody who is into just personal growth in any respect to just pick one thing and say, that's what I am forever and always. Because I know for me, it's teacher, Reiki practitioner, psychic medium, becoming a Claire consultant is eventually what my brand turned into, which is basically using my intuition to give advice. And there's so many ways that I've been able to work here in the space, not just going to the events that the other people put on, but also hosting so many different types of things, whether it's a Reiki at Sunday Ritual, or, the last thing I hosted was the Soul Collage, which was super fun. Yeah. And I think that it really is this incredibly inviting space with so many different things to offer, so many different people. And we even have another person here with us. Do you want to hang out with us?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's make room for you.
Where am I sitting?
Yeah, we can scooch over. I'll scooch over and you can sit over there.
And he's running late because he was working in the co-working space in one of the offices, finishing up his work day because he's a member here. Yay.
Let's see if I can get in here.
Yeah.
Are we live?
Yeah, we're definitely
live.
And yeah, I was in the co-working space.
Yeah.
It's super nice in the room. The moon room is what they call it.
Yeah.
Right. There's the moon room. There's the main co-working space, which
is technically called the Stars Room, but we don't really refer to it like that much.
Stars Room. And then behind us is the
Sunroom.
The Sunroom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We were just getting started introducing Ritual Space and Alex and Jill and kind of the whole deal behind it. I was talking about, I do my Claire consultant work. What's the work? How would you describe your work that you do? Because we're all multifaceted. There's all kinds of things that go into it, but how would you describe yours?
My work. Well, I was a software engineer and still kind of am, but I'm transitioning into entrepreneurship. Uh-huh. So I'm working on a, what's the word for it? When it's like a secret project.
Project.
It's a secret project.
It's a really good.
It's called Helix.
Mystical, magical, secret. Helix sounds better.
Wait, is that what it's called?
Yeah. So that's the name of the company.
Oh, cool.
I never knew
Stealth.
that.
It's still in stealth mode.
Stealth mode.
But it's a real estate development company software to help bring down the cost of housing.
Whoa.
So cool. That's like, it's like really important. Like,
Oh my gosh, thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
Like in advance.
Yeah.
Like I want to give you a stealth thank you.
Yeah.
Here's your stuff. Thank you. Hoping to use your services someday because yeah, that is a real issue. Well, what I love about that is like this is a very soul community. I know you're a very spiritual guy. You got all the yoga going on.
Once
I'm-
or twice a week at least.
Yeah.
I try for it.
Yeah. And you have like a very purposeful spiritual life going on. And it's not about being above everybody and, you know, telling everybody to meet you on your level. You're like, no, we live in a world with houses. People need housing. So meeting those needs is like the most spiritual thing.
It's in both reality. Yeah, you live in both realities, which I think is like one of the most important things about like spirituality is like, you know, you find a way to integrate your spiritual self with your like human self and like be in both realities and like do work that's like integrated in both.
Yeah, for sure. And I went through some burnout a couple of years ago and I'm still recovering.
Me too.
But finding purpose and a way to serve is like part of it that makes it feel more meaningful. So instead of just grinding away at work, trying to earn a salary or whatever that is, you're kind of contributing to other people too, and that makes it feel less burnout-y.
Less burnout-y.
So yeah.
It does. Yeah. Less burnout-y. Less burnout-y. Less, I mean, the more I say it, it sounds like I'm saying the name less burnout-y.
Lester.
It's Lester Burnouty.
That's what we're all shooting for, is to be Lester Burnouty.
Yes.
Yeah. That's the goal. I do think it would be a good idea to circle back to something that you picked up on, which was the idea of, okay, so there's a pandemic, there's the quarantine, people are separated, and then there's this need and this desire to get back together, but also this real comfort that we found kind of being on our own and being by ourselves, which I think in one aspect is good, but then in another aspect, that need for community is also more like evident than ever, I feel like.
Yeah, for sure. And I'll even say too, we host events and gatherings and different things here in this space and in the studio space. And at one of our gatherings, one of the people who came, and this was maybe a year ago, this was probably in our first year of business. So we're in year 2 right now. She said that it was her first time going to a group gathering since the pandemic because it's been so, I think there's been a lot of fear that people have been afraid, you know what I mean? Like afraid of like getting sick and of what was going to happen to them if they did. And it was her first group gathering, and it was she talked about how scary it was for her to be there. And I think that there's still a lot of people who are timid of coming back into community space, and it is just easier to like stay by yourself and be in your own space, but also that's not healthy.
Right, because even if we're not as concerned about the coronavirus as we once were, we might have developed the social anxiety during that time of fear and being by ourselves and sequestering ourselves. So the social anxiety, like that's actually really brave of that woman to be willing to do that, to admit that, to seek connection in that way.
Yeah.
I love that she was able to do that.
Something I can relate to too is working remotely. So many people are doing that now, and it's like a trend that is happening. More people are working remotely. So getting into like a routine of just kind of working from home, and then through COVID, you might have reinforcement to that routine. So you kind of have to relearn how to be in community a little bit, and like relearn, like exercise that muscle again.
And then you have people too. I think like when you spend so much time on your own, you rely more on like social media and the internet for your connection.
Yeah.
But like that isn't real connection. It's effective. It's like, it's a good portion or part of like connection and connecting with people. Like definitely connected with some really cool people online, and I'm super grateful for that, and I love having those relationships, but like I need my real time in-person relationships too. Like you need more than just that virtual connection with people, but also all the filler words, there you go.
Also, and
I think that there's something about spending too much time on social media, especially when you're like really depleted of connection and you're trying to find in that means, that creates anxiety. Like it deepens anxiety. It creates stress. It creates fear. People start going down rabbit holes and they just kind of get themselves into this little spiral of like maybe even pushing themselves further into the world is dangerous and I can't go out, you know?
Right. I mean, hanging out on social media right now. I mean, just the way the world is right now, it can make
some tea.
people. We do not have tea in that. But you are part of the club, so we want you to know that you're part of the club. Yeah, I mean, I think that I'm going to say when the TikTok ban happened, I was bummed. I was more bummed than I thought I would be. And yes, there was a feeling of like, oh, I'm not getting that hit in that certain way because TikTok's a very unique app. But there was also an element of, I felt like I had things to say that I didn't say. And I felt like there were connections I was having with people who I didn't even know, even if I'm just interacting with their videos in a way that was actually more meaningful than that like mindless scroll addiction thing. And that, to me, it actually made me show up a little bit more online and be a little more willing to put myself out there. But at the same time, like you said, it has to be a balance. It can't be just one or the other. You're going to feel depleted in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah. I think I also have been, I find that I with social media, I get really overwhelmed by it because I see so much non-meaningful connection happening, like people commenting because if they're trying to grow their own platform, they have to comment on
saw your Substack note today. I saw
it. Yeah, I made a note. I was like, let me read it actually, because I'm not gonna remember.
I was like, oh, she's talking about something that is important right now.
I just like get so tired of like seeing all of this like, I'm trying to build my community, follow me and I'll follow you or whatever, you know, and it's just like they're making comments to comment. And anyway, so I said, what did I say? If I was better at this, I would have gotten there already. Okay.
It's all good.
I've noticed that the conversations happening in the comments on people's posts, so this is Substack. So Substack is a blog website. So in the comment on people's actual posts, like their blogs, are so much better than the growth formula based nonsense that I see every day in the notes. And the notes on Substack is like Twitter. And then I said, read people's posts, get involved in real conversations, subscribe to people who make you think, laugh, or cry, or feel naturally inclined to contribute. The follow train nonsense isn't really helping anyone. It's fake community, fake connection.
Yeah.
And I see a lot of that on there. People are like, oh, if you follow me, I'll follow you, and we'll support each other's stuff, and we'll give each other an audience, and it's like, and I have followed people in that way, but I don't want to read their stuff. You know, I don't want to like look at their stuff. I don't want to watch their videos or whatever. It's not because I'm not connected. They didn't really draw me in. I did it to be supportive. And at the end of the day, it's not really supportive because I'm not really invested, you know?
Yep.
I totally hear what you're saying. And I think that illustrates both sides of the coin, because I definitely have been caught up in the follow for follow trains. And there's something that I like about that, in that it's like, okay, we all could just make money by giving each other our attention. Like, what a gift to give another person. And I think there's an element of that where it's like humanity is starting to catch on to something. We're starting to realize that it doesn't have to be capitalistic competition and put somebody down in order to make yourself lift up. And then there's greed and imbalances that are causing so much stress. And it's really just this abusive system when you really look at it. But that it is possible to have success when we are supporting each other. However, it's also true. I know, like on TikTok, I pretty much grew to 1,000 followers very on purpose, but the follow for follow trains, like for sure. And it's nice, and it means that I can do certain things. I can have a shop, I can go live and things like that. I meet a quota. But it's true that I don't have the engagement of 1,000 people for sure.
To be fair with TikTok, I've read that like they recently changed their algorithm where they're not really showing your stuff to your followers anymore. They're like showing it to people who engage with that kind of content now. So there's something weird going on with TikTok's change of things. And I think I agree. I like the idea of supporting each other, and I want that to happen. For me personally, I just am aware that it needs to be done with more intention. Like I need to like really comb through people and find the people that I resonate with and like connect with those people and be like, hey, I really resonate with your stuff. I want to follow you and support you. Would you check my stuff out and see if it resonates back?
Yeah.
You know,
it's kind of like feeling into your intuition a little bit. If you're engaging or doing something and it feels like, if you're doom scrolling forever and then you like take a second and you're like, whoa, I have a lot of anxiety and like, why am I feeling that right now? Like I would do that when I was on Instagram. I'd be like, whoa, I feel like really tense. And I realized it. And I wasn't even thinking about how it was making me feel because I was so caught up in like just the stories and mindlessly like killing time essentially.
Yeah. And it's like all of a sudden you just notice it in your body or in your mind. You're like, oh shoot, I'm anxious right now. And I wasn't before I started scrolling, and now I am. So
and like the opposite of that is like actually intentionally doing something that actually feels like it brings you life. Like you feel good connecting with someone that you have like a really good connection with, or has like similar content that you actually really like and can like maybe have like build a relationship with them or something. Whatever that is, it's like there's totally opposite energies that you can have and that you can feel, and just being mindful about that is important.
It's entirely present on social media. It's entirely present to have that balance and to have that genuine connection. And I do think that's almost the gift that was deepened during such a terrible thing as a quarantine. And I don't know if it's anything like hanging out in person. I think that might just be like an entirely different way to commune. In person, there are totally different, you're connecting like you are on social media, but being in person, feeling the energy of somebody, sitting with them, that does feel, I can't really put my finger on what it is that's so different.
Thinking about like what we are, there's like emotions, there's our body.
Ooh, we're getting a lesson. Okay, go. Emotions, body.
And then thoughts. Yeah, and then consciousness, which is like behind it all.
Okay.
But those three, you kind of like leave out the whole body energy if you're like online. In person, you have this whole real thing.
Right.
Yeah, like it's easier to connect with somebody and like understand a little bit more like where they're coming from. It's like if you're communicating with someone via email or text, it's easy to misconstrue what's being said because you're not seeing tone of voice, you're not seeing body, you're not seeing energy. Yeah, you're just seeing words, and like you're interpreting that through your own mood, through your own like lens, your own like whatever is going on with you that day, your own filter. And you can interpret it as like, oh, this person's being a dick. They're not, you know what I mean?
Right. When if you were in person, you'd be like, okay, they're being really funny. And I'm on the
or
same
even
page.
like the comments that happen, the mean comments that happen on social media, right? Like people would not be in person saying stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like they wouldn't.
Anonymous Reddit stuff.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's just people feel so much more that there's that. It's almost like, you know how when you're driving in your car and you get like road rage and you're mad and you can't, it's like there's a level of separation from the other people who are in different cars because you're seeing the car, not the person. And vice versa. The same thing I think happens online behind the screen. It's like, you know, there's a person on the other end of that, and there's a party that knows that, but because you're not connecting with those other things, like the energy and the things that you said, whatever, body,
and whatever you said, whatever. I know it, but whatever.
It's easier to be unkind and to be mean and to get caught up again in your own. You're responding to your own emotional cues, not to what's actually happening.
The word is like that's coming up for me is vulnerability. In a car, you're not very vulnerable because you're protected. Or online, you're maybe anonymous. No one can like touch you. But like in person, when things actually matter, like you actually are vulnerable, you're gonna be like more respectful or more in tune with someone else's energy or whatever that is.
Yeah, and I think I wonder with that, it's like, is there masking happening when you're in real life? But I think there is a genuineness to it because you're reading the situation differently as well.
It's entirely possible to get into weird arguments with people in person too. I've definitely
Right.
done that.
Yeah. One of your habits.
It's not a habit.
One of your hobbies.
It's not a habit or a hobby. It just depends on.
When you're in Aries.
I think that, yeah. Yes. Actually, there you go. And it's in other areas, especially that you're arguing.
Oh.
That's what happens for me.
A lot of
When I
fun.
get together with my Aries friends, we argue a lot.
Cute Aries being Aries. So I think that this space offers that in person because not only are you in person, but we're here to feel our bodies and read our energy and pay attention and be conscious and bring all that to everything that we're doing. So I have a question, which is, what do you think since Ritual Space has been open or since you've experienced so many different types of events here, so many different, from like strip club, I don't know,
Empowerment nights.
empowerment
With
nights,
the pole dancing.
Pole dancing.
Show. Yeah.
to like art, to like meditation and those types of events. Which can you think of an event that was especially connective for you to other people? Does one stand out in your mind?
100%.
Whoa, let's hear it.
It was the Galentine's event that we did here. And that was February of last year, I think, on Galentine's Day. And it was just this really cool. It was a ticketed event. We started with a yoga class in the studio, and then we moved over here, and happening, people connecting with people. We had snacks, food trays, and people to pick at snacks, and then we had tarot readers doing tarot readings for them, love readings for people.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
That is so cute. I did not go to that, and that sounds adorable.
It was such a good event. It was
Oh.
my favorite event that we've done. I remember when Jill ran it by me as an idea. I was like, I instantly initiated it and got on it. I was like, we're doing it. I'm making it happen. Yeah.
I'm picturing how vibey it probably was and cozy.
Yeah.
And
Oh yeah.
I
It
know
was great.
Jill is always so great at creating a vibe too. She's like, her earth energy just tinkers around and makes everything so cozy. So I bet that was so.
Yeah, she's a vibe curator for sure.
She is.
Yeah.
Okay, so all right, Galentine's Day
Mhm.
makes sense. And did people what were people's reactions to that day?
People loved it. People thought, I think that they were really, a lot of the feedback was how happy people were for the price that they paid and how much they got out of the event. So it wasn't like by any means an affordable ticket. It was definitely a higher ticket, because it included your reading and it included the yoga class and it included the snacks and we had a mocktail too, a love potion 29 because we're
Nice.
unit 29.
Oh,
Yeah, and so it included all of that stuff, and it was just an evening for girls to get together and connect. And people were like, "This is so awesome," and I think it helps that it's a day that people are looking for something to do. Also, Galentine's Day, the gals are looking for something to do. They're like, "What can I go do on Galentine's Day? Brunch with the girls, or go see a show, or whatever it is." And this was just a really vibey, fun way for people to get together and connect and celebrate the day.
Love that.
And at paying a price that I think felt good for all of them and getting the value out of it that they
Okay.
wanted to get.
That's awesome.
Good. That's awesome. What about you? Do you have an event that stands out?
There's been a few that I thought were really fun and things that I've done for the first time. And it's kind of exploring new things in the spiritual genre, maybe you could say, or wellness. But the breathwork ceremony, I think is what you call it, a ceremony?
It was
A ceremony session.
I don't know if she calls it a ceremony. I think she calls it just a breathwork class. I don't know. I don't know what she calls it.
Yeah,
I have to look at that.
That was really cool.
Who was the one who led that?
Alva, right?
What's her name?
Alva. I don't know her last name.
Okay.
But on social media,
Shadow Alba.
yeah.
What's your last name?
And so I think maybe it's Waze. It might be Waze.
Okay.
because I've seen Alva Ways maybe in her
Okay.
email.
We can probably just ask her. She'd probably tell us.
We put that in the comments of the
Yes.
or the description.
If
Yeah,
you-
yeah. We'll share what her social media is too, because she does private breathworking.
Maybe.
Private breathwork coaching.
Yeah.
Okay.
Breathworkification is what I want to call it
Yeah.
today.
Okay, so anyway.
Yeah.
Talk more about that.
Yeah.
Well, so how did it feel though? The breath. What about the breath work was
So
super?
amazing.
Yeah.
Why it stood out.
Yeah.
Well, it was a big group, first of all. I don't know how many people were there, maybe 15 or something like that. And there's, I don't know if you mentioned it, but there's like the yoga studio right next door. And there's the co-working space here, which has multiple rooms. So that was over next door in the yoga studio. It was interesting because you can sense the energy like moving your body if you're like tense or have stress. Kind of like all that stuff kind of goes away. And yeah, for me, that's been a big thing with working at a computer a lot and feeling that stress.
Was it the breath work, or was it the one with the sound bowls that you're talking about?
So those are both 2 weeks in a row. They're both
Yeah.
amazing.
Okay, yeah.
The breath work for me, I felt a lot of like shift.
Okay, yeah.
Um,
The breath work one. I didn't go to the sound one, so I don't know. But-
Yeah, the sound was really awesome too. Done a couple of those recently, but yeah. So the breath work was just really cool, and like a lot of people showed up. So we were like talking afterwards and stuff like that. It was just, yeah.
I don't think I have. I think every time I come, I enjoy myself, honestly, and I know that I will. And that's only ever been the case. Whether I've done a private session because I rented out the room, or hosted, or been to an event, it's only ever like top vibes, like high vibes. So the last time we did an event and we did the soul collage event, will you go grab those collage guys over there? So this kind of art form just kind of like grabbed me in the fall, and I have been wanting to do something like this for so long. So we had a few people do soul collages, which is just where you like take magazine clippings. Okay, yeah, just want to show people what it could look like. And you just kind of create whatever you're feeling in the moment with, just the intention of ease and enjoyment. And we had so much fun.
Don't forget to show them the back of that
That
one.
was Steven.
Because that's what we're seeing while you're showing it.
So he
I
was
forget
feeling
his
that
name.
day.
Tom
Selleck?
Yeah, Tom Selleck.
Yeah. And it was just like the pinnacle of, we're hanging out. We're going to say what's on our mind. We're going to vibe together. Magic things are going to happen. We're going to make crow sounds for fun. And I don't know. I just truly, genuinely enjoy being here and sharing the company with everybody who's around. It's amazing.
Yeah, I want to speak to this event too from experience, like as a participant. I feel like the act of creating art in this way, but like not like, but without intention, right? Like it's not like, oh, we're gonna create this art and we're gonna do this. It's just like you're cutting what you feel drawn to and you're creating it as you go, kind of thing. For me, allowed for almost like this sense of ease and release of my usual like walls and stuff that I have up, where I'm like not necessarily masking, but to a degree I'm trying to like not be too weird for people. And I feel like being in the flow of that, of working and creating that, allowed me to just kind of totally relax and communicate with people in a way that felt really supernatural for me, and just like,
It got weird
It got weird.
in the best way.
It started weird.
And it was
Weird in
it
the
started
middle
weird.
and ended weird too.
And there's so much acceptance. Like that's what it is. It's such like this safe space where it's like you can really be who you are in what situation, and you're gonna have that acceptance. You're gonna have that feedback of you're valued. And even like we don't get it all, like we're not like you, but we don't have to be in order to connect and in order to find community with you. And I think that's something that's magic.
Yeah.
It almost feels like, okay, so yes, all of the people who come to the space and use the space are amazing. I've never met somebody where I'm like, I don't know. I've only met amazing people. But I also feel that it's because ritual space in and of itself, like, I don't know, the building or the soul of it feels like an actual entity, feels like an actual magical force of its own that's almost drawing people in and is the backdrop to all of these events that we have here.
I will say that I wonder if part of the reason why it feels that way is because Jill and I have treated it like it's an entity from day one. We often refer to ritual space as our child. She's the mommy and I'm the daddy. And this
Yes,
is our child.
I love it. I love it.
And in its infancy, we talk about how in the infancy of ritual space, we really had to be there for it a lot and nurture and like take care of it and like hold its hand. And now we're moving into this new phase where ritual space is really becoming its own entity. It's growing into its own, and it's starting to take its, figure things out and kind of become its own person. It's not a person, but you know what I mean? Its own entity.
Yeah, like the way that you're tending to it. It's like a plant, like a seed, and it's like really fragile, delicate when it's just sprouting up.
Yeah.
It deserves a different type of love and like care.
Yeah.
And then it's like a little bit bigger and it's more sturdy and like
in the different stages.
You give it different types of energy.
Which I love that analogy because I definitely, let's see, I was just having like a personal session here. And so I was the only one here. I started to walk in the door. I woke up the place, you turn on the lights, you do a little thing. And I was standing in the moon room and I was looking into the star room. And it's almost like there was this like little wisp of smoke, like right in the middle of the room.
Was that Hannah?
And I don't know, but I got this sense. I'm interested to know who Hannah is in a minute, but I got this sense of like, there was a spirit. And it was like taking care of the plants, actually. And so it was very like this growth almost. It was very feminine and it was very nurturing. And it was just like, oh, I'll get out of your way. Poof, poofed into the nether. And it had a very welcoming and I don't know, this was its space. It was here to nurture the plants and take care of the things when nobody else was there. And I was here, so it was going to poof and go away. So was that Hannah? Does that sound like Hannah?
I'll share a little bit about the lore of Hannah.
Here.
So Hannah is a spirit that came with this hutch that we have in the kitchen area.
Okay.
And I remember Jill and I were like furnishing this place. We were looking for, everything that we needed. And we went to this little antique boutique store and she saw this hutch and she was like, I want this hutch. And I was like,
feels kind of haunted to me.
Yes. Like literally, I didn't say that, but I was like, I don't know. I don't love the way this feels. There was definitely for me something that was like, I don't know about this. But Jill, she gets excited and I was like, okay, well, we need something anyway. Let's just get it. Right?
She's the mom, you're the dad.
Yes, exactly. And so we bought it and we get it like taken apart and put into her vehicle and we're like driving back and I'm like suddenly very uncomfortable now that I'm in a confined space with the hutch. And I told her, I said, well, we need to cleanse this when we get it back to the space because and for me personally, when I connect with anything like other not alive. Yeah. There's always like a feeling of discomfort because there's like not a resonance for me with like, as if with people, like I could.
If you are alive and it's not.
Yeah. So it creates discomfort. So I was feeling that and I was like, we need to cleanse this. And as we were driving, I had this like flash in my head of like a woman and like, I saw like her face and I got the sense that she was like a foreign woman and, maybe like, I didn't know like where specifically from, but like some kind of foreign lady. And we got back, we cleansed it, but we decided to get another spiritual medium that we knew at the time involved to check it out and like let us know what her read was on it. And she connected with Hannah. I think we named her. I don't think that was necessarily her name.
Okay.
And said that she was like an Italian woman and she was like kind of this older and she like described her and the description sounded like what I saw in my head when I had that flash in the car. And she was angry, not like at us, but like she had a lot of like anger and like that hutch was her sacred space where she came to kind of like make her bread and like work through her energy and all this stuff. But like the more time she spent here, the more that started to ease, like anger started to ease away, and the more at peace she became. And she genuinely started to really love this space and like being a part of this space.
That's so cute.
And I don't know if she has like integrated more fully into the full space and not just the hutch, and kind of like has become more of a caretaker of the space. Yeah. But
I feel like I remember like flashes of talking about this. Didn't I also pick up like an Italian woman or something like that in a reading once that we did?
maybe I can't remember.
Okay. Because I don't always remember what happens when I tap in.
Yeah.
I feel like there was like a reading where it was like, oh.
It's definitely possible.
Cool.
Yeah, I can't remember. You did do a reading with me once where you talked about grandma energy. There was like something with grandma energy. Yeah.
Nice. All right, so we've got ghosts, we've got yoga, we've got soul collage, we get weird with it. It's a complete package, ritual space.
Honestly.
Do you have any other ghost stories?
I have a lot of ghost stories. They're not necessarily all about this place, but
Still, let's hear it. Let's hear one.
Let's see. So there was this one time when I went to St. Augustine, which is, super haunted place.
Yeah.
And I went with the intention of like being super aware of like the ghosts there.
Yeah.
And also other intentions too, but that's neither here nor there. But like I wanted to like connect with ghosts. And so we went to all these different places, and I would just notice how I felt when I walked into a space. If I noticed that like uncomfortable, like sick feeling that I kind of get sometimes. And I noticed it in a lot of places. And then it was especially in the Ripley's museum that they have there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they have this Ripley's Believe It or Not museum, and it's like this old mansion that used to be like inhabited by people. I don't remember who they were, but we got to this one portion of the museum, and I just felt I felt like disgustingly sick. And actually my husband did too. He felt it too. And we were going through the room and learning that it was like a bathroom. There was a bathroom in that like wing previously where there had been a fire where 2 women died in the fire. So that was really weird.
Yeah.
But anyway, we, were there for 4 days. I definitely interacted with lots of ghosts, consciously and unconsciously. And then like one of them came home with me, I think. And it was kind of like an energy vampire ghost. Like it like was aware that I was aware of it, and like also that I had like opened my energy up, and it was like, well, I can like
be here now.
Yeah.
You're gonna let me be here, so I'm gonna be here.
Yes. And
Right.
it would hang out in the room with me at night
I don't
beside
like that.
my bed. I didn't like it either. I really didn't like it either. And it would be like beside my bed, like a vampire. Like it was feeding off of me at night. And I wasn't sleeping good, and I felt tired all the time. And I would like do Reiki on myself and like try to like get it to go away, but I was so fixated on it that it like liked that, so it kept staying.
And then you gave it your attention.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes. And so someone told me that I needed to take my attention away from it. And then also I went to Art Walk, and I was doing readings at Art Walk, and someone who was there came up to me and she's like, I feel like you need this. And she gave me this like spice mixture that she made that's like a protective spice mixture. She said, I think, I don't know why, but I feel like you need this. Like there's just something's going on. And like I ended up chatting with her and telling her about this. And she's like, yeah, put this around your bed, put it here, put it whatever. And so I did. And then another person that I know gave me some rosemary too to hang beside my bed. And so I the advice that I was given was to just use the tools and then stop thinking about it and just stop giving it the attention, the energy. And eventually it did go away, but sometimes I get scared that if I think about it too much or even just talking about it, like it's gonna come back, and I'm like, please don't.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
I'm welcome.
Yeah, go away. It's fine.
I love that. And I do think a lot of times this is like a theme that's coming up for me, not necessarily with ghosts, but just like things I don't want. Like there are plenty of things when I look around, I'm like, I don't like that. And we give it our attention, and this is a problem, and how do we fix it, and how do we combat it, and how do we fight it, and we zero in on a lot of things, when really if we just made it irrelevant, how do we get so excited about something else that we're going to make this entirely irrelevant? It dissipates and it disappears, and even like real people that aren't ghosts I've experienced this with. So I love that it was more than just like a clearing or here's some selenite, wave it in the air. I love that it was also like change your focus.
Yeah, just stop giving it the attention because that's what it likes. And it's funny too because it followed me because I gave it attention wherever I found it in St. Augustine. And I noticed it the first night that I came home, but I was on Fort Myers Beach. I went to Fort Myers Beach and stayed the night out there for Mother's Day with my mom and my sister. And I became aware of it. Like as I was so exhausted because we came straight back. We'd been up late that night, and I was like, just needed to pass out. And I was laying in the bed trying to pass out, and I just suddenly, I felt it. I was like, something's uncomfortable.
Yeah, so creepy.
And then I was like, I wonder if there's like something on the beach. Like I didn't think, I was like, there's something here on the beach or in this hotel or whatever. And then I was like, all right, I'm not gonna worry about it. I'm just gonna go to sleep. And then it was there at home too, and I was like,
When do you tell your husband? Do you tell Earl? Is he like, okay?
I can't remember how he reacted to this particular, because my husband believes in ghosts.
Okay.
He does it. Yeah. And he, like I said, he felt the weird energy in the Ripley's, believe it or not. You know, I think he's sensitive to them too. He just is like less open about it. You know, and he doesn't like, it's something that he'll like observe and then move on. You know what I mean? He doesn't give it the attention like I do. I'm like, oh, what's this? This is interesting. You know, I'm like, oh, I feel it, you know, whatever. And so he believed me. But I can't remember how he reacted. He probably told me like
it's gonna be okay.
Yeah. He's like it's fine. It's not gonna hurt you. Like what is this gonna do?
It's also cool how people kind of showed up to help direct your energy out of that. Or like
when you didn't even ask for it.
There's like here to support you and to guide you.
They showed up, like the people showed up to
just
help
like
me.
randomly. Like here's this spice
you
mixture.
need this. I don't know why, but you do. Like, okay, thanks.
Do you have any ghost stories?
I was thinking it's not a ghost story, but it's something funny and kind of interesting.
Okay. All right, let's hear it.
I was receiving a reading. It was a group reading, and there were like multiple people in there, and one person was giving a reading to every person, and everyone else could hear. And one of the things she said about me, she was talking about spirit guides that are like with me, protecting me. And the thing that was like creepy about it was she said that she was like, oh, you have a lot of spirit guides. It's like really interesting. Like I sense their presence like very strongly, and there's many of them. And she was like, do you ever get like information at night? They're like, and I was like, yeah, like I write a lot at night. And she was like, yeah, they're giving you information, and they're standing around your bed. Around you.
Hope that's fine.
They're watching. So at night they're standing around your bed. She's like, it's kind of weird, or whatever, but like, yeah, they're there standing around your bed. I was like,
how did you feel about that?
I kind of sense it sometimes, and it's kind of an interesting feeling.
Still.
Yeah, but I do receive like a lot of it. Like I'll like wake up at night and write things down, and just like things flow like really easily for me at night. So yeah, kind of envisioning them around. I don't know. It's kind of friendly now, but it was kind of creepy at first.
I got used to it.
So when you like sense it, is it something that you sense like in your awareness, like in your mind? Like I feel like there's people around me, or is it in your body? Like you feel like a sensation,
like a presence.
Like what is the awareness of it?
I think it's like feeling a presence, like
as if someone was standing near you and like in your energetic
like
field.
Feel that. Yeah. I also had a tree. It was a fiddle leaf fig tree, I think is what it's called, and that was right next to my bed. That had a very strong presence too. Like I would be going to sleep and I'd feel like someone was standing there very strong. And that, like when I first got it, but it was the tree.
Was it like the tree's soul, or like something attached to the tree? You think
it was? No, I think it was the tree itself. But it just felt very like a person was there. Yeah, it was an interesting feeling. So it's kind of a similar feeling for the spirit guides. Yeah, kind of feel them.
Oh, yeah. You got a team. You got a team of people working with you.
Yes.
Yeah, that's exciting. Love that.
I mean, I am, I kind of just, I don't notice entities when I'm not tapped in and trying to read, but I do psychic mediumship. So, I mean, I've talked to a lot of things, from anything that feels even what I call shadow beings, what other people might call demonic beings, to angel beings and everything in between. I think the only time when I was not, because I have like really strong boundaries around when I tap in. So it happens every once in a while though, where, I'll get a flash of something like I did when I came into ritual space and got the Hannah hanging out. One time, well, just going to Boston, I think, is another time where it like really stands out. I don't know why. I know it's such an old town, but I was so excited to go there, and then I found out it was really cold, and I was just like, this is not as fun as I thought it would be or wanted it to be. And like, no offense to Boston, because I know wonderful people from Boston, wonderful people. But I was not a fan. And I was just like, everything is cold, everything is haunted. They're everywhere. There's all these entities. I mean, I feel like just like in the windows, you look at a building and they're just like in the windows, and it's like not real. It's like a sense. Yeah. Like everything is haunted. Like all the buildings are haunted. And it wasn't something that I enjoyed necessarily. But I think I do most of the time enjoy, like if somebody's there, I'm just like, hey, what's up? Like, I don't think I ever really get creeped out or like a weird feeling about it.
I'm curious to ask, when you connect with different entities or beings or presences or whatever you want to call them, is it something you've communicated with before ever? Or is it mostly like the first time, and do they approach you or do you approach them? What's the relationship dynamics?
So many, like, I think I've tapped in, I've met so many entities that it's hard to, it's a little bit of everything. I mean, I definitely have a stream of consciousness that I tap into consistently. There's different names that pop up at different times. There's been times where I've summoned them and, they would carry things out for me. I think, when it comes to shadow beings, I think they're really misunderstood. And in those situations, those are in your energy and they're doing a service for you. They're holding your fears until you can rise up in your responsibility to manage those on your own. So I think we all have those, and they look scary and they're depicted as being scary because they're holding your worst fears instead of you holding your worst fears. So there were definitely a few times where I would get the feeling of there's just this issue, there's this block, there's this problem that feels really strong in my life, and it comes up in different ways, and I'll sit with it, and a few times it registers that there's actually some shadow energy that's holding on to that for me. And so what I'll do is I'll dialogue with it, and I'll kind of try to understand what the fear is, what they're holding for me, how long they've been there. And then ultimately the conversation turns to, I'm ready to accept the responsibility of owning this fear. And thinking, really, it's, if you think you're not capable of something, then they'll hold on to that until you can. So it's like, I'm going to step into my power here. I'm going to own this. I'm going to realize that I can handle this. And in that moment, I've said, so like, you can leave, at this point. They leave. They don't fight. They don't struggle. It's not like The Exorcism, the movie, or anything crazy like that. It's just a sense of they leave. They never come back after that. So I think I've had everything from that to like consistent spirit guides, streams of consciousness, to just one-off meeting people. And then of course in sessions, a lot of times I'll be working with people And sometimes they have like beings all around them, like supporting them, and sometimes it's a lot, and sometimes it's one. Sometimes I'm connecting to their crossover loved ones, either because they asked or because they just popped up in the moment and said, hey, I'm here. I remember one time I was working with somebody, and it was like a really random thing. I just got like flowers, and I was like, okay, but what about flowers? And they would just say, okay, because if I don't say it, then they won't give me the next thing. So I was like, did you buy flowers, or was there flowers? Somebody wants me to say something about flowers. And he started like tearing up and getting really emotional. And he said, before the session, he was speaking with his grandmother, and said, please let me know this is real and that she's really connecting if she says something about flowers, because his grandmother loved flowers, and like her name was Iris or something like that. And so I was like, okay, well, flowers, let's move on to the rest of the session. But it was
okay.
it was such a meaningful like
Yeah.
confirmation for him. So I will get just kind of out of the blue kind of stuff as well.
That's super cool.
Yeah. But it usually just happens when I am in that mode, ready to tap in, doing a meditation. Like I said, I have really strong boundaries about it, because if I don't, that would be overload for me. So
Yeah, I feel like I tend to, unless I'm like, going somewhere with the intention of like playing around with how well I can connect to ghosts, because I'm in a place where I know that there's ghosts, which I do sometimes. I'm like close myself off. I'm like, I don't want to see you. I don't want to hear you. I don't want to know you're there. Please don't tell me, you know, like, because I think I have a lot of fear. I'm afraid.
Well, and I also think that when you do that, when you put that boundary up, it helps to make it so that when you are ready to tap into energy beyond what we can perceive with our five senses, you're better at it, because you have it reserved for that specific time. I feel like that's the reason, because before I knew I was a psychic, there was so much that I was receiving, but I couldn't make sense of it. So it's very foggy. And once I put up those boundaries, I was able to like really hone in, and that's why I can pick up such specific things in people's energies. So I think that's another reason why it's good to do that.
Yeah, it's a super cool skill, learning how to pick up subtle things, just like the subtlety of things. instead of
Totally.
glossing over or not even being aware.
Yeah, that's what I say. Like, people think I have like just like people like you talking to me, and it's not about those energies getting stronger. It's about you getting more in tune with tapping into those things. So fun journey. All right, well, we are nearing the end of our time tonight.
Yes, we are.
Almost done with our first episode.
Yay!
Yeah. So this has been fun.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed talking with you guys.
Thanks for inviting me as a guest.
We're glad you're here. And I think if anybody wants to comment or connect with us or learn more about Ritual Space, feel free to comment. And then also we'll put things in the descriptions and links of what we talked about. And we're planning on being here every Wednesday at 7. So you can catch the replay, or you can hang out with us live.
Yeah, and come check out the co-working space and work from here.
Yeah.
And do a yoga class
Yeah.
Cheers. All right.
All right.
And see.
Let's end it. Here we go.